Fox Sports.
Now, the South Melbourne lineup is unchanged. The same team that beat Heidelberg 4-2 in the Australian Conference, rather the National Conference final.
An official crowd of 21,338.
The two captains will be feeling a little bit nervous.
There's almost this surreal quality to Melbourne today, this spectral sort of mist hanging over the city, as if everything was focused here under the arc lights at Olympic Park.
Football in Australia. There's a long tradition of passionate clubs, dedicated fans, and bitter rivalries. While the sport has recently experienced a surge in popularity through the introduction of the A-League, it's but a chapter in a long and rich history. One of the oldest and most traditional of these clubs is South Melbourne. Formed in 1959, it retains a loyal and passionate fan base to this very day.
The club was formed in 1959 and essentially was a merger of three big clubs at the time. South Melbourne United, who was the British club that was formed by British migrants, and the merger with Hellenic and the Yarra clubs, who were formed by the Greek migrants that were coming in during that period. So the Yarra and Hellenic had the crowds, South Melbourne United had the history, the infrastructure and the stadium, and they formed what was known as South Melbourne Soccer Club.
Ήρθα εδώ πέρα παιδί 24 χρονών. Τότε έμαθα εδώ πέρα ποια ελληνικά ομάδα υπάρχει. Μου είπανε το South Melbourne. Ήταν η στολή με τα κόκκινα που φοράγε το φουτμπολ του South Melbourne. Και από τότε έγινα members, life members.
Dad tells me, before he passed away, Dad told me I was 2 when I was at my first game. And it was every Sunday at Middle Park, 3 p.m. kickoffs, and South became part of our DNA.
I wasn't a supporter from the word go, but it wasn't in my immediate family. Dad's an AFL man, so it was just something kind of new, and the atmosphere here when I first got down was just amazing, so it was a bit hard to let go of after that first taste.
South Melbourne supporters who so adore their club.
I had a sister and her husband family here, and I was speaking to a couple of my mates back home, and they said we're coming to Australia to play soccer. So I went, oh, well, I think I'll join you. So that's what I did. I came to join Hakoah. I'd made the M team, I was a defender back home, and the coach picked the team and he says, Jimmy Armstrong's striking. I said, what are you bloody talking about? I've never been a striker in my life. He says, striking, so I never looked back.
The 60s are pretty much the golden era of the club, even now with the performances of winning 4 straight Victorian Premier League titles and some of the great players that played in that era. It now has a really proud history as being Australia's most successful club.
Oh, it's a champion club, and that's why I'm still here, and they looked after me, the spectators looked after me, they all adored me and I adored them.
I never saw him play, but Jimmy Armstrong is everyone's hero, just in the way he conducts himself around the club, and he's still a volunteer and everyone loves him.
It's funny enough, because I've been here that long, I tell people I should change my name to Armstrongopolis.
There's so many great legends that have come through, the Oscar Crinos of this world, one of the greatest footballers to ever played for Australia. Mehmet Durakovic's, Paul Trimboli.
A minute and a half left in regulation. Oh, Trimboli, what vision! The man through, Buxianis, no call! Score! Have you ever seen anything like this? Olympic Park lights up. And who was it creating all the havoc in midfield this time? But the maestro himself, Paul Trimboli.
Paul Trimboli is everyone's hero, right? He's not only a great player, but a nice guy off the park as well. And role model for everyone. I think for a while there, when I started playing, I used to wear a number 9 on the back of my shirt because I wanted to try and emulate Trimmer. I couldn't play anything like him. I was terrible, but it was trying to channel Trimmers on the park.
And the Ericsson Cup is going back to the Bob Jones Stadium after 7 long years, and Tom Buziana's brought to his knee. And South Melbourne have won their 3rd national championship as the fireworks proclaim a famous victory in an epic grand final. The supporters rushing to embrace Paul Trimboli, saying, "We love you, Paul." Well, a lot of love to be shared out there.
The club now has been built on successes decade after decade, so it now has a really proud history as being Australia's most successful club.
And there it is, Steve. Full time in the grand final. South Melbourne back-to-back titles. 3-2. A tremendous grand final.
In '99, we won our 4th National League Championship, which then qualified us into the Oceania playoffs, where we won through the inaugural World Club Championships in Rio. Ange Postecoglou was the coach of the team at the time. The club champion, Paul Trimboli, Vaughan Coveney, Dave Clarkson, we had Fausto Diamicis, Steve Josephism. We had an unknown keeper at that stage who really made a name for himself, but really didn't do much after that. He got a few offers from Europe, but really didn't transpire. But really at Graceville, Clarkson had a great tournament. Steve Ekonopoulos, who ended up meeting his wife there and just stayed on in Brazil, didn't really come back. It was a great tournament. The boys are just proud. We lost 2-0 to Manchester United, and we lost to Vasco 2-0 late in the game in front of 85,000 people. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
For the last time, let's hear it here at Middle Park for the South Melbourne Holland soccer team.
I remember gathering there. I was with my family, my father, my sister, cousins, the whole clan. And I still, to this day, remember the banner, the Field of Dreams.
It was a celebration for many, but it was a sadness for others who, through the 50s and the 60s, that was their home for the weekend. That's all they knew. So it was very emotional for many people.
And it was Heidelberg, and they were our arch enemies. And there was a bit of tension on the ground as well. That game was a packed house, and we walked away with a great result, 4-1 result, I think it was.
I vaguely remember that. I think we won the game. I think it was 4-1 in the end. But it was a very emotional day. Our last game in the National League was against Adelaide, the newly formed Adelaide United, at Hindmarsh, in front of a packed crowd. It was a sellout.
We went to Adelaide. My God, that was that game hurt. I think I was the only girl on the bus, as usual. I'm fairly used to being the only girl around here. And all-night bus trip up to Adelaide, and we get there, and there were hundreds of South fans, and we all congregated behind one of the goals, chanted throughout the whole game, and sort of jumped around and made a lot of noise, which was great. And then I think Sammy Pudakides was red-carded for an incident off the ball and sent off, and it just went downhill from there.
It was a preliminary final, and unfortunately we lost 2-1 that night. We finished third in the league.
We were chased out of the stadium by the Adelaide fans, and they were throwing stuff at us. We needed a police escort to get out, and it was like being at a funeral on the bus on the way home. It was heads in hands. There were grown men crying. It was incredible, and I think one of the big things was that we didn't know what the future of the club would be at that stage. And
then only to find out several weeks later that the National League was being disbanded, and that put the club in a precarious position because it didn't have a business to trade in, and it effectively became insolvent, and we went into administration.
What we need now is the support. Your support, spectator support, football-loving people support.
The club obviously was bitterly disappointed that it wasn't chosen for the new A-League, but it had the biggest fight of its life to save this beautiful stadium, save its lease, because whilst you're in administration, you understand that you effectively lose it. So the biggest challenge for us was actually survival at that time, and we didn't have the ability to fight what we thought was wrong. South Melbourne had played every game in the National League. It's a footballing club. It stands for football. Had no other agendas, and we were bitterly disappointed that we were excluded.
Rightfully, we felt we should have had that licence. Turns out we needed to do some more work.
This is why, rolling into now, wanted to be so desperate to make the FFA Cup, because that was our first window of opportunity to be back on that national stage and give us that opportunity to show Australia what this club is all about.
Our aspirations have always been to restore our rightful place in football, and we're prepared to earn that and do the work that's required. We understood last year the importance and significance of the tournament right from the outset.
There is a lot at stake here tonight. The winner will of course qualify for the FFA Cup and also the semi-finals of the Doherty Cup, whereas the loser will have to wait until next year to be in that competition.
We were the hot favourites, if you will, and we were undefeated, and everyone expected us to win. We expected to win, and I guess maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves, but the night came, it was a packed crowd, and nothing went right for us.
Έχουμε καλή ομάδα, καλά παιδιά παίζουνε, αλλά έχουμε και καμιά φορά ατυχίες. Αλλά σε αυτό το cup το θέλω με την ψυχή μου.
If you can dream to get past that, you're all of a sudden in the 16. Very high possibility you'll draw an A-League franchise. And our dream is to draw one right here and fill this stadium.